Pick one platform, really learn the ins and outs of how that platform works, what it takes to be successful, get yourself the skills you need to be successful on that platform, get in a groove, then jump to the next, get the next one going, get the next one going.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. I hope you're having a great day or week whenever you're listening to this. We don't have any sponsors on the show. We just ask that you check out all of the services and offerings we have for you, the creator. We offer YouTube coaching. We have a mastermind group where you can rub elbows with other creators. I offer YouTube channel reviews, and we have an email newsletter that's absolutely free where you can keep up with me and the things that I got going on in my creator business, as well as something we call the toolbox or the entrepreneur's toolbox, which is just a Google spreadsheet with all of the tools mentioned throughout the history of this show. So check out those links down below. And with that said, let's go ahead and jump into this week's conversation. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. I'm joined today by Steph, or Stephanie. She runs the YouTube channel called Hopewell Heights, and I will link that down below. She's a Catholic mom of 5, living on a 5th-generation farm and homestead, and the creator behind the food blog and YouTube channel, as I just mentioned, Hopewell Heights. Steph, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. I mentioned to you earlier, I don't have any of my kids right now. They're with grandparents, so this is kind of weird, but
Yeah,
great.
I love it. I love it. And this is actually the first interview that I have recorded since the triplets. Those who listen to the show, my wife gave birth to triplets on the 12th of December. We're recording this now in early January. Everybody's home. Everybody's good. We're just trying to avoid the flu and all the stuff that's out there right now. But thank you all for all of the questions and all of the prayers and thoughts that were sent my way. I really do appreciate that. So, all right, well, let's just dive into it here. So Hopewell Heights is the name of your YouTube channel. You got a food blog, do some other creator business type stuff. Give me the full story as far as the origin story of how did this whole thing start as far as your YouTube channel?
Okay, so the YouTube channel, I think I started it in 2022. That's terrible, but when you're always having babies and like breastfeeding postpartum, the brain cells aren't that much. Like you have mom brain. I think it was 2022. But I have been creating content for a lot longer than that. I just looked back at this the other day. I started my food blog in 2016, and that's when Hopewell Heights started. That is a name that came from my father-in-law. We live on my husband's family farm, and he had just mentioned one time that he had always wanted to name the farm Hopewell Heights, but he never did. And I was like, well, I like that. I'm just going to use that. So that's where that came from. Back in 2016, the landscape with blogging was you might throw up a recipe one day and then the next day it's like pictures of you taking your kid to the park. You could get away with kind of diary style blogging and people would still read, not in massive numbers, but I gained just a little bit of a following that way. And then just over the years, I would learn a little something and, up my game, really get some strategy with my blog. It was definitely something that I just built very slowly through the years. However, I was posting about sourdough starting from like 2016 before sourdough was a thing. I was maybe one of a handful of bloggers who had a strategy with sourdough before 2020 happened, when everyone was locked in their house and decided to Google sourdough and do that. So I was just positioned really well for my content across at that time, just my blog and Instagram, and I think Facebook to blow up. And then from there, people were just watching other homesteading, homemaking, motherhood things that I was doing. And I was getting requests constantly to do a YouTube channel. Like, can you please give us more, give us long form content, talk more about this or that? I was hesitant to do it, but I actually had a really good friend who did YouTube and she had created a course. It's Lisa from Farmhouse on Boone. So she
hmm
had a course on how to start a YouTube channel. And she had me take that course and review it for her. So I had taken a course on how to do it, thinking I'll just review it for her. But then I start getting these requests, and 2022 happens. I had my 4th baby. Right before I had him, I worked my last shift ever as a nurse. And then I was home, and I'm like, what now? I got extra time, extra energy. So let's do this thing. So that's how it started.
When you took that course and in the early phases of 3-4 years ago when you started the channel, can you remember back what were the biggest hurdles or the biggest kind of maybe roadblocks as far as early on when you were obviously a creator, you were doing the blogging and you had other social outlets. But as far as YouTube goes, do you remember kind of what some of the early struggles were?
Yes. So it was for me personally, it wasn't really worrying about what people think. I'm just, that's not something I tend to worry about. It was editing, of all things, editing video. I had done some different things for Instagram where I tried to make some like longer videos and edit. And I was like, oh, this whole editing thing is just a lot. I like the creative part of making videos, but then it takes, you see a 2 minute little video, but it took me an hour. It takes so long. It just took so long. And so that's what held me back. I didn't want to put the time into editing videos, even though I liked creating them and I loved the final product. So,
Yeah, the editing process, if you're not passionate about it or if it's not kind of cathartic for you, like for me, when I get into an editing groove, it is a bit kind of meditative for me where I'm just kind of
mhm.
moving things around and I'm kind of in my zone. But I have talked to a lot of creators who say that that is the number one thing that is the roadblock for them. So, being that it was editing, what did you do? I mean, have you outsourced it since then? Do you still do it? How have you kind of gotten past that?
Yeah. So like I said, I actually have a couple of friends who do YouTube. And so, I had talked to them. I knew it was possible to outsource that and hire an editor. And so that's what I thought. As soon as I can, I'm going to hire an editor. And I was in a really good position. I had worked my butt off in nursing through COVID. Like I was working in critical care situations and really crazy hours because there were a lot of opportunities for really good pay and we wanted to pay off debt. So when I started my YouTube channel, like we just came out of this crazy season where we paid off all of our debt. And I was just feeling like, this is great. I get to do this YouTube channel. I don't have to
Mm,
do it. I'm not like
yeah.
trying to make money. This just gets to be fun for me. So I thought, if I'm able to make a little bit of money off of this channel, I can take every penny of what I make and reinvest it and make it easier and more enjoyable for myself. So I knew that I wanted to hire an editor as soon as I could, and I did. However, I think I had her edit, and she was great. I had her edit maybe one or two videos for me before I realized I could not use an editor and I would always have to edit my own videos. And the reason is because of the kind of content I make is lifestyle content where I just set the camera up and like drag it around behind me as I'm going about my day. And my children and husband are home, are in and out of the house. And so there's so much of our personal life that is kind of accidentally caught on camera. So before I would submit the raw footage to my editor for her to edit, I would actually have to comb through all of it and make sure there wasn't any sensitive content, like maybe the toddler ran out of the bathroom undressed or something. You know what I mean? So I
Yes.
just can't turn that I can't in good faith like turn that content over to somebody knowing it could potentially get out. I know that might sound weird, but I was like, wait, I'm going to forever have to comb through my content and pre-edit before I submit to be edited. And so there was that. It was a privacy issue. And so I've always edited my own videos since then. I've just kind of maybe like built up calluses to it. Like when you lift weights, it's like you do
Yes.
this hard thing and you just get used to it or whatever. But then
It
also the creative vision. When I'm filming, I have a vision of what this video is going to look like and the story it's going to tell. But if you just looked at the raw footage, you'd be like, my goodness, what is that mess? And so, like, even with my notes, trying to put my story together just was really tough.
and what tools do you use to edit? Like, what are your kind of your tools of the trade?
This is so embarrassing. Is it what's the just
iMovie?
iMovie? I
Yeah,
still
yeah.
use
So
iMovie.
no, I asked that question because a channel like yours that has grown such a big following. I mean, you're almost at 160,000 subscribers now. You're not even at 300 long form videos, which means that you're well ahead of the curve. You're able to film it yourself with 5 kids and a husband in and out all day, and then you're able to just throw it on your Mac and use a already built-in tool to do the editing. So it's interesting, not with just easy tools like that, but with artificial intelligence and things that are coming down the pipeline, how easy it is now. The barrier to entry is not there. The only barrier that I always tell creators is really just what you can think of, like your creative mind. And it's interesting that you mentioned that. I do not envy you doing lifestyle content. For the past maybe 2.5, 3 weeks, my wife and I had decided when if the triplets got here healthy, we were going to document some of the things that happen being a triplet parent, because it is a unique
Mhm.
situation. And so we launched our own little personal TikTok, which is kind of where my platform of choice, because I wanted to be able to talk about it better and with more knowledge here on the podcast. And it took off. I mean, it's really taken off, and we've gotten almost 2,000 followers now in a couple of weeks with just like 6 or 7 videos, tons of comments, tons of interaction. But I say all that to say it's so hard because my family, I protect them so much. I only want a certain amount of things out there. And so, you know, the triplets taking their first bath, it was hilarious. But obviously, I'm not going to post that, right? Because you have to really juggle and decide what you're going to put out there and what you're not. So I just want to say I don't envy you, and I do understand why you would have to do the editing yourself. Now, you started this channel and you started to see growth. Do you remember the point in time where you said to yourself, okay, there might be something to this? Like this YouTube channel might be something that I can be a major cog in my creative business.
Yeah, this is another funny story. So I knew that there was a lot of potential because I have friends, personal friends in my life who do this and make, you know, they do really well. So I knew
Yes.
it can be done. But I did this thing for maybe 6 months. I was consistently posting when I started out 2 videos a week. Now, at the beginning, my strategy was to post more evergreen content, like how to do things. It wasn't lifestyle. It was actually evergreen, hoping that I would hit and go viral with something, you know what I mean? And kind of like get that initial following. Because I know you probably know this, but even though I already had a following on my blog and on Instagram, those audiences don't always carry over when you start a new platform. People make the mistake of thinking, oh, well, I've got 50,000 followers on Instagram. So if I start a YouTube channel, I'll have 50,000 followers on YouTube. That's not true. I had about 40,000 followers on Instagram when I started YouTube and messages all the time begging me to do this YouTube channel. And I probably had about 200 subscribers when I shared I was going to do the YouTube channel. So the carryover just isn't that great in the beginning. So anyway, I was able to hit the qualifications for monetization pretty quickly doing 2 short evergreen videos a week. And then I realized that, I got to maybe having like 5,000 subscribers and I thought pretty good engagement and I was making like 50 cents a month on YouTube. I'm like, okay, I got monetized and I'm putting all of this work in. I'm doing all of this editing, which I don't enjoy, and I'm making 50 cents or a dollar. This is crazy. I'm done because I have a personal rule that I have to enjoy what I'm doing creatively or I don't do it. I mean, there might be moments where I don't enjoy it, but over the long term, I can't continually do something I don't enjoy if it's not paying off. So I just quit. I just quit. And I think it like 6 months went by and we were in Florida. We were on vacation. I got an email saying from Google AdSense saying you need to update your direct deposit information because you have, I think it was like $5,000 or
Whoa.
something insane waiting to, you need to be paid. We need to pay you. And I'm like, whoa, what? This, not me. This can't be me. Did they mean 50? So I logged in and then sure enough, there was that huge payment sitting there. And I was like, I got to check my channel. Well, unbeknownst to me, my channel had blown up because of a video I did on how to make your own laundry detergent for, like, I don't know, 7 cents a load or something crazy like that. It's true. That's how you do it. But yeah, it had blown up and I had no idea. And so then I was like, oh, it works. So then I
That
just
is
hopped
that
back
is
in.
so neat. I love stories like that because that's almost identical to my story. 15, 16 years ago, I did a tutorial video showing people across the country how to use some software, forgot about my channel, and then got the same email you got about monetization, and a little different. I didn't have a big check, but they were like, hey, you can make money from this. And I was like, wait a minute, there must be something to this. And so it kind of does align with your story. I'm so thankful and I'm glad that happened to you because now I do want to ask you this, though. That video now has 1.8 million views. You did it 3 years ago, but you have
Hmm.
other videos like one you did 3 months ago about, preparing for digital ID and things to come, how to fix sourdough starter, how to make a sourdough starter. You're still doing or still have some of these evergreen type videos. How do you balance the vlog style lifestyle content with the how-to and educational stuff? How do you kind of combine the two and still get good interaction and community building?
Wish I had a really good strategic answer for you. Right now, nothing I've done in the last almost 2 years has been super strategic. I kind of had this big run where that thing happened when we were in Florida. I got the email, realized my channel had blown up, came home, was like ready to go. And I just had an instinct to start creating lifestyle content. Because up until then, up until I quit my channel, I only created evergreen how-to videos. But I was like, you know what, for it and do some vlogs. And they blew up. They did so great. But then when I had my fifth baby, everything changed for me. It's been a different experience. He's almost two, but he has been such a terrible sleeper, the poor guy, that I've been sleep deprived for almost 2 years. So I have pulled way back. All of my social medias are dead. The only thing I do is one YouTube video a week. I don't do an email list. I do nothing right now besides one video a week. And it's been great that I designed this business to be able to do that because I built everything in such a way that if I had something happen with my family, I could just pull back. So in the last 2 years, it really is just like month to month. I kind of think, okay, what do I have going on that I think is valuable? And I just throw something out there. It hasn't been super strategic, but I'm starting to sleep a little bit. And so the brain cells are coming back and I feel ideas coming. And so we'll get there. But I'm thinking about doing more, maybe, doing more evergreen content again on some of these bigger issues.
I interrupt the conversation just for a few seconds to tell you about two things. Number one is our YouTube channel review service. With the channel reviews, I record a screencast video recapping where I think you should be spending the time and how you can be improving your YouTube channel. And then the second thing I want to mention is our community group. It's called the Creators Corner. I release exclusive podcast episodes on that feed, as well as a monthly mastermind call that I host. And we're doing other creator-led mastermind calls throughout the month as well. I believe it's one of the best bangs for your buck in the creator space. So with that said, back to the show. Now, you mentioned that you were so thankful that you built your business kind of and structured it in a way to where if something were to happen, like a 2-year sleep deprivation or having triplets or whatever it may be, right, that you have tailored your business in a way to where it's prepared to kind of sustain itself. What did you do and what did you put in place to get your channel in that spot?
So having come to peace with the fact that I would always edit my own videos, that was a big thing because I, on my own, with nobody else, can film, edit, and upload a long form video every week. And I can do that. That's pretty manageable, one video. I've been doing it long enough now to where I'm really good at editing actually. And I've gotten really fast at it. It's not nearly as painful as it was. So I know that I can always do that one video a week. Everything else, I guess I just didn't get attached to it. At one point before I had baby number 5, I had a team of like 10 to 12 people doing everything from cutting my videos into shorts and reels. I had somebody running my email list, somebody managing my Pinterest, everything. I mean, I had everything hired out, but I wasn't attached to it. I just knew I didn't put anybody on payroll. So that was a big thing that I did. Everything was just kind of like freelance or VA where I would just do on a monthly basis, so that I didn't get myself locked into feeling like this person is completely relying on me to support their family, because I would feel so guilty if I pulled back in that situation. So I just did that essentially. And then, I tried to not get attached to the income as it was climbing and climbing and saying, if all of this went away, I have to remember that it would be okay. So,
Yes.
but it hasn't gone away because I actually have my blog as well that's monetized. And then I do a lot of affiliate stuff where I've got old Instagram highlights that are really valuable resources to people that they still go to and then use my codes and all that. And I've got ebooks out there floating in the ether. So I have different streams of income, that just come in every month, no matter what I do.
Let's talk about that diversification of income streams and talk about kind of how you're monetizing your business. So you mentioned the blog, still your other socials, and then on YouTube. What are ways that you are monetizing and are able to bring in money? And then after you answer that, maybe give the audience an estimation of, in the past 3 months, what might be an average month for you and your creative business.
So with YouTube, I'm monetized through YouTube. So I get paid through ads on YouTube, but then I also take on a sponsor for each video. So I actually have an agent that I work with and she lines up a sponsor for me for each video. We've been in with my agent for almost 2 years. So I almost never have to say no to a sponsor. She knows what I like, what I use, who I will work with and who I won't. And so it's very easy at this point for me. That is a great source of income. So those are through YouTube, 2 sources of income, just the YouTube ads and the sponsors. And then also affiliates. will share pertinent affiliate links in the descriptions of my YouTube videos. I don't have any digital products at the time. There are a lot of things I could and should probably do. I just don't. But then on my blog, I am monetized through Mediavine. So that's an ad network. And yeah, it's like almost like its own little business. So I have Hopewell Heights, that's like the umbrella, but then I have Hopewell Heights blog, Hopewell Heights YouTube channel, to where if one of those things went away, the other thing would be more or less okay.
Yes.
Although, since Google owns YouTube, I do think it lends me credibility as a creator having both. I think Google might favor that. I'm just guessing.
Yes.
But on my blog, that's the only way that it's monetized. I don't really do sponsored posts or anything. It's just through the ad networks. I just create recipes, post them on my blog, and push them out. Yeah, and then get paid through the ad network. And then affiliates. I have mainly just Instagram. I have a Facebook page that I had somebody running for me. I don't know what's going on over there though. I don't have TikTok. I know I should, but the only way that would ever happen is if somebody did it for me. Um, so it's really just I have just Instagram. I used to, like I said, have somebody cut my videos into shorts to push out on YouTube and then reels for Instagram. I don't do any of that right now. I just don't have the time and energy. So, but I still bring in income, steady income from those affiliates because over the years I have consistently shared valuable content, and I've also been very open about the fact that my family comes first. And I just tell my audience, like, if you don't see me for a while, just assume I'm okay and I'm taking care of my family, and they need me more, and then I'll be back, and then maybe I'll be gone for a while, and then I'll be back, and they seem to be cool with that. So
Yeah, and I think that transparency is probably what kind of gains you a lot of your following, right? Is that them knowing that, hey, they have families too, they completely get it and understand it, and kind of makes you more of a real human as opposed to someone that they watch through their screens or whatever it may be. Now, as far as those incomes kind of tallied together, what is
Mhm.
a normal month look like for you money wise as far as income? What are you able to do? Maybe you can break it down and tell us, what one of those sponsors averages on a YouTube video and kind of break it down that way.
Yeah. So when I'm like going full force ahead, so when I've got a team and we're pushing things out in every direction, and I'm sleeping and able to do all this, then like 25,000 a month total. And um, when I'm pulled back, then it's more like 12 to 15,000 a month. And
Mhm.
so that's the variance. So right now I'm definitely pulled back. And so that's what it is. But when I'm gunning, when I got all the creative energy, then it goes a
Yeah.
lot more. And I have somebody working with me right now to update my blog. So I anticipate that income going up. So that's what it is. As far as sponsors, the highest sponsor offer that I've had, I think was $5,000 for one video for a 60-second ad read, but that it didn't align with me. So I turned it down. And I actually, in its place, took an $800 sponsorship because that aligned with me, and that just I I think you can I have a problem with my facial expressions. Like I couldn't do it if I didn't like the product. You would see it in my face. It'd be so awkward. So I just can't do it. But yeah, it can be like anywhere in between that, like a
Yeah.
thousand or more for me. I don't really care what the number is. I care how much I like the company and how much I use it in my home. And if
Yeah.
I'm going to pick the sponsor that I use all the time. So, like this year, Birch Living is sponsoring one video a month. I have a Birch Living mattress in almost every room in my home. Like daily, we are sleeping on our Birch Living mattresses. So, that's a sponsor I feel great about.
It's a lot easier when you are, utilizing and enjoy the products. And that's a realm that I hope I get to experience as far as the lifestyle and family style content. I've already had many companies reach out to me in the early phases of where I am, just kind of documenting some of the fun stuff that the babies in my family are doing. And I can see that you have to be pretty picky and really look at your choices because it will come through in the video. It'll come through the screen if, like you said, your facial expressions. If you don't like it, I watch so many videos where the same things are advertised over and over again, and I'm like, you don't have that kind of website. That's not the service you
Mm.
use. I've been to your website, or you probably don't take this pill that you're whatever it may be. And so I think that yes, you can make more money, but balancing. Hey, these are things that I actually use and you care about your audience. I think the goodwill that you earn over time, which is what I've seen with this podcast, ends up really benefiting you more than making the money in the short term. So I do completely agree with you there. In 2026, where we are right now in the creator's economy being like it is now, what would you say are the 2 or 3 most important things if you're wanting to grow an audience on YouTube right now?
Ooh, okay. Well, be a real person. That's actually an advantage. I just created a video on this. Like, can you still make money in 2026 online? People are so worried about AI. But behind the scenes, I can tell you, and you probably know this too, platforms are actually favoring real people. They want to push content from real people. Ad networks won't even work. They won't work with like an AI creator. So if you're a real person, there you go. You have a huge advantage. So don't let AI stop you are saying it's all over. They're black pilled on this. But no, this is a great time to be a creative human being. That's number one. Be yourself. Don't worry about AI. Number two, I think we're done with, people authenticity. That's like such an overused term. It is more important now than ever. I think we've been doing the internet thing for like 20 years now where people are just always online. We're getting just really good at detecting when people are not genuine, like really, really good. We can detect it pretty much instantly. So make sure that whatever you do is something you genuinely care about and are passionate about and can show up authentically all the time. That's number two. Number three, boundaries. Set boundaries. Oh my goodness. I see so many. I think this is especially maybe for women and moms. They see that there is opportunity online, especially like as an influencer, which I'm not crazy about that word, but that is what it is. And they will do anything to make it. And so they take authenticity to a level of having no boundaries on what they share. And they're overexposing their children and their husband. And this is what I would say, be cautious because there are actually laws in some countries that restrict the kind of content you can share about your children and other people. And I could see that coming. And not maybe not in 2026, but I would just be really cautious with what you share about your kids in your family, which I know that sounds rich coming from a lifestyle vlogger, but when I'm editing, I am pretty careful not to try to show anything that would really violate their privacy or something, because I do see legally, potentially in the future, that could be a thing. So create your brand around something that you can kind of be the center of. Don't use somebody else as a crutch to build your business.
How important is the interacting with the community? Because you are building a community around your brand, and these people are following your family and they're watching these videos and they're learning from you about homesteading and parenting and the things of that nature. How important is it that you are interacting with these people, whether it be in the comments section or wherever it may be? How have you kind of fostered a community of, open arms? And because I did look at your community and obviously right now, as you mentioned, you're kind of held back a little bit just because of what's going on with you personally, but in general, as a whole, how have you handled the back and forth with your community as far as nurturing that?
I do my own comment sections. So that is something that a lot of creators hire out, the comment section, because a lot of times you'll get the same questions over and over again. So if somebody's asking you the same question about a recipe or something, it would be really easy to hire somebody to give them that quality answer over and over again. Make sure everybody gets a reply. But I do my own comment sections because I can get a little spicy in my videos and then people have spicy replies and I can handle it. I know some people, that's actually what stops them from creating content is the comment section. They can't handle it. And a great way to deal with that is just hire it out. There's nothing wrong with hiring it out, but I do my own. And I think it pays off. I like talking to people in my comment sections. Sometimes I'll have a video scheduled. And I always try to get on right when my video goes live and then be in the comment section. But sometimes things go crazy, the baby's crying, whatever, and I can't right away. And I'm always like, oh man, I wish I could respond right away. I don't have a Facebook group or any other kind of community at the time, just because I know that I don't have it in me to moderate. And I know, especially with women, we can get spicy, we can get passionate, things can get heated, especially when you talk about motherhood. I just can't moderate something like that right now, but maybe in the future. However, I'll pop over on Instagram and I do have a lot of overlap now between the two communities. And over there, people get to see like a really unfiltered side of me. Like I'll just share like absolutely wild things. And people are like, oh my goodness, I didn't know you were like this. And so they either leave or they stay, and they're like, now we're great friends because they're like, you shared this crazy thing that I always also know about or think. And then so I guess I'm not scared to get controversial. That's one way I've grown community is you can actually find your people by not shying away from whatever's in your niche that other people won't talk about. So even if it's like things on YouTube that people don't want to touch, they don't want to talk about it. And then you're going to connect with people that are going to trust you. So
Yeah. It's funny. When we posted a couple of videos when the babies got home, my wife, I told her, I said, do not go to the comment section. I said, it's 99% are going to be positive, but there's going to be that 1% that are going to eat you and me alive, especially when you put kids and parenting on the internet. Everyone has an opinion and their opinion is best. And so she did go and read the comments, and there was just one out of probably 1,000 plus that was negative. And I told her, I said, if you can't handle that, we better stop now. I said, because that is, you got to kind of get a thick skin. But I do understand controversy and a little bit of going outside the box of what people are willing to speak on YouTube is a way to gain attention and get that interaction flowing. So I do love that. Now, when it comes to packaging and your thumbnails and your titles and the design and brand of your channel, how have you handled that?
do all that too. I not that there's not somebody out there who could do a better job. I'm sure there is. I just haven't met him yet. Like, because they need to reach out to me because I'm too busy to go search for them. I did try to hire thumbnails out once, and it just wasn't what I had in mind. For video titles, I do use TubeBuddy to get some keywords in there. But with vlogging and lifestyle, you can kind of get away with not always having to hit keywords. Whereas with evergreen content, that is more important. But I do use that. I do use TubeBuddy, and it works pretty well. I do my own thumbnails on Canva for now. I'm totally open to somebody reached out and saying they're awesome at thumbnails and doing that for me, though.
Yeah. Have you seen it shift from when you started even 3 years ago as far as what works thumbnail wise? And just because I've seen it shift even the past year where things that worked maybe a year ago don't work now. Have you seen the changes?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I started my channel, we were still coming off of that COVID drift of people being online all the time because they're home. They're just in their house. And so I think internet usage in general was maybe a lot higher, especially with the homemaking niche. A lot of ladies who maybe always had wanted to have more time to do that kind of stuff, now they do because they
Yeah.
have to be home all the time. So I just felt like it was so easy right when I got started, and I could just put anything up and it would like homemaking. My title or my thumbnail would just be me, loaf of bread, and say homemaking routines, and it would go crazy. Now I have to think a little bit harder about
Mhm.
that. I think saturation has to do with that. A lot of ladies have started homemaking and homesteading channels, and there's so much out there like that. So who knows where I'll be in a couple of years? I might pivot eventually. I don't know. We'll see.
And the final question I want to ask you is this. As the creators listen to this podcast, what would be your final parting words to them, whether it be encouragement or advice as they're looking to either start, grow, or monetize their YouTube channel?
Okay. Uh, hmm. I think my advice would be to diversify your income. If you want to earn income, then diversify. So pick one platform, really learn the ins and outs of how that platform works, what it takes to be successful, get yourself the skills you need to be successful on that platform, get in a groove, then jump to the next, get the next one going, get the next one going. That's how you divert because things can be going great on a platform until they don't, until things
Hmm.
change on that platform. And then all of a sudden you're not pushed in the algorithm anymore. Your views go down, maybe your income goes down. But if you're diversified, then you're not going to take that hit quite as hard. And I even think it's good to, if you want to do this as a business, diversify offline as well. So I can tell you, like my income, we take it and we buy cattle. And that's probably not something that people would think of doing like as a YouTube
Yes.
business. But that's a way that we diversify. So whatever it, your options are in your real life to be thinking of how can I take this online thing and diversify it into some physical material investment as well. I think that's a long-term vision to have.
Yeah. I could not agree more with that. And I'm going to kind of leave this with those parting words. Again, if you want to check out what Steph has going on, I'm going to link her YouTube channel as well as her Instagram and food blog all in the show notes. Steph, you have been an amazing guest here on the podcast, and we're so thankful that you're willing to give us your time, and we'll talk to you later. And that's a wrap on this week's episode of the Creators Hub podcast. I had such a great time chatting with Steph, such a great story that she has getting her to where she is now. Don't forget to check out all of our services down below. We have our mastermind group. We have our YouTube channel reviews. I offer one-on-one YouTube coaching. We have our email newsletter, and then we also have the running list of links and tools and resources mentioned here on the podcast. All of those links will be in the show notes. Don't forget to check all of that out, and we'll see you guys next week.